the system. And today we got a real special guest coming in here. He's been on the show before. He's actually one of my favorite guests, mainly because he's got that beautiful flowing hair, but also because he's literally the only guest who's ever come on here who's given me any winning advice. His name is Michael Schussler. He's the editor-in-chief over at What's on Sports. He's got a brand new podcast coming up that drops on Thursday, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But first, Michael, hey, thank you very much, man. 2 weeks now, you won me $1,200.
What can I say, John? You follow the price to profit algorithm. You're not going to lose.
It's amazing. It's actually amazing. I think I mentioned it earlier, but if you've never played fantasy football before, they will tell you how much money that they think you may win. Right. So going into the fourth quarter of the 1 o'clock games, I'm at like $63,000 is what I'm going to win. I mean, I'm on fire. I mean, I made a bad choice when I leaned on Alvin Kamara. I had Henry in my lineup. I take Henry out because I'm like, Indianapolis has got a better defense than that. I'm going to go with Kamara going against that crap show in Denver. Yep. I think they're just going to run the heck out of the ball, run the clock out, and just crush these guys, which they end up doing, but with a different running back. And if I would have left Henry and listened to my first instinct, I would have won $60K or more off of $100. Instead, I won $600 off of $100. But Michael, what a great return! Thank you very much for that.
Of course, and some advice to not just you, John, but everyone listening at home. Last minute tinkering to your daily lineups, even season long. That is a killer every time. I mean, just stick with your instincts.
Lesson learned, Michael. Lesson learned for sure for me.
I know you want Kamara in there. I mean, why not? Everything looked good to line up with that. And like you said, the Colts are the number one defense statistically, but yeah. Derrick Henry had a record-setting first half. The reason.
Let me tell you, I want to talk about the game just for a second. Mm-hmm. The holes. Like everyone's like, oh, Derrick Henry, he was really finding the holes. The holes were enormous.
Yeah.
The holes were enormous. And then, this guy gets to the second level. It was a nightmare to watch. It was absolutely nightmarish.
Another, stiff arm that I forget the defender that he stiff armed, but it's another poster that guy's on now. So that's going to be fun for him.
But this time he actually stiff armed a defensive lineman.
Right.
He stiff armed a guy bigger than him this time. And
it wasn't Josh Norman.
Really yeah, it's very nice.
There's not many players bigger than him in the NFL anyway. But the reason that you didn't win $60,000 is because you didn't have Tyreek Hill in your lineup, and
yes.
That's no one's fault. It's hard to guess. But if you listen to me, if you read my articles that come out on whatsonsports.com, every week I'm always talking about, it seems like Travis Kelce, and saying how great of a value he is to get him out there. Same can be said with Tyreek Hill. And it all goes back to that Chiefs offense being unfair, is the best way I can put it. Just completely unfair. And that brings me to, as everyone can see watching at home, the headline on the bottom. Is it too early to declare Patrick Mahomes as the GOAT? I don't think it is.
It's not. You have been bullish on Patrick Mahomes for the last few weeks, and you and I have had this debate.
Yeah.
And it's if you watch the first half of that game, you would definitely be on your side. I will say that first half was truly impressive. They were a machine.
Sure. And this is nothing new. I mean, I've said it before. I've said it 1,000 times. Said it last year. Sports fans have heard it. NFL fans, they've heard the hyperbole. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest player of all time. Not just the greatest quarterback, but the greatest football player of all time because of his IQ. And it's not just the numbers. I mean, we'll go into the numbers in a moment, but it's the eye test. And that's something that I've been saying to you. I mean, he just makes plays that no other quarterback can make. No other quarterback that I've seen in history on tape, watching every game, every weekend, like I try to do. I love Lamar Jackson. Brett Favre can't do what Patrick, excuse me. And like I said, I love Lamar Jackson. He's probably my favorite player in the NFL. I have 3 Lamar Jackson jerseys, and hold on. I'm just saying, I love Lamar Jackson, but Patrick Mahomes makes Lamar Jackson look, like a high schooler out there, just because of the plays that Patrick Mahomes can make, throwing off of 1 foot, backpedaling 15 yards and still throwing 35 yards, down the field. Even when you think he's about to get sacked or he's being rushed by blitzing linebackers, cornerbacks, defensive linemen, he can either slip out, and this is every time. He slips out and finds Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill 20 yards down the field for a first down, or he picks up, 7, 10, 15 yards with his legs, slips out of bounds or gets a slide right at the last second. He very rarely ever takes a hit. And that just goes to, how smart he is as a player, his pocket presence, his awareness. Like I said, it's unfair. It's almost unfair when you give a guy like that those kind of weapons. Now,
he and the guy in Arizona are my two favorite quarterbacks to watch.
Sure.
Simply because of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's so unorthodox, and the pocket presence is like, how do you guys know that these guys are next to you and you're moving around like that? It's very impressive.
Of course, yeah, but it is. It's extremely impressive. Now, Kyler Murray, I'm not going to say he's one-dimensional. He's certainly not, but he doesn't quite make those head-scratching plays like Patrick Mahomes does, where it's like, how the hell did he get that ball off, and how was it such a perfect throw? And there's no scheming. There's no game plan for opposing coaches to combat that. The only thing they can hope for is a mistake, which is extremely rare, by the way, as Patrick Mahomes has thrown just 2 interceptions this year to go along with 30 touchdown passes when he's tied for second in the league behind Aaron Rodgers, who has 33. If you want some stats, he's leading the league in passing yards, 3,497. He's leading in touchdown to interception ratio, which I just mentioned, at 30-2. And last week we were talking about the career passer ratings, and it was Rodgers, and Watson, and then I think Drew Brees. And you were saying, giving me some shit, saying, well, where's your boy Patrick Mahomes? Why isn't he on that list? If he's so great, well, where is he on the all-time passer rating list? Well,
fair questions.
Well, here's your answer. The reason Mahomes wasn't on the list last week is because he had not met the minimum required number of passing attempts, which is 1,500, to make that list. So now he has 1,533 passing attempts. So he has now come into that conversation. He's allowed to be listed. He does now qualify.
Okay.
So it was Rodgers when we last talked about it last week at the top spot with a passer rating of 103.1. And then on Thanksgiving, Deshaun Watson, who was number 2, passed Rodgers and came in at 103.6, a record that he held for just 3 whole days before Patrick Mahomes said, I'll take that. Thank you very much. And he finished Sunday with a career passer rating of 110.7. So 7 points higher than Mahomes. Than Rodgers and Watson. Okay. Wow. So I mean, I really don't know. He holds the top spot for career passing yards per game at 307.4. No other quarterback has surpassed 300 per game. Drew Brees is second with 280 in his career on average. He's second in career. Yeah, he's second in career yards per pass attempt at 8.5. So 8.5 yards per pass attempt. Otto Graham technically holds the top spot at 9 yards per pass attempt. But in Otto Graham's 10-year career, he only attempted 2,600 some passing attempts. Okay. And that's a number that Patrick Mahomes will surpass in a year or two, because he's already at 1,500 in his 3rd year. It's just it's just a different
game then too. I mean, like you're talking about the generational difference. They would it was all deep throwing back then. Throw the bar 20 yards, run the bar 5 or 10. And
right.
in today's offense, especially, people forget Mahomes runs a West Coast offense, which is really predicated on these short passes. So for him to have that statistic is actually very impressive.
Oh yeah, well, if you think that's impressive, listen to this. Okay, he's the highest active player in yards per pass completion at 12.7. He's first in net air yards per pass attempt. Peyton Manning is second. He's ranked 4th in pass completion percentage at 66.7%, which is just 1 percentage point away from Drew Brees, who's at the top spot with 67.8%. And of course, Brees is actually known for his short dunk passes, to his running backs, to Michael Thomas for 10 yards here and there. Sure. Patrick Mahomes is known for throwing bombs. So, put that into perspective, that he's still able to complete 66.7% Impressive. I mean, that's an understatement. He's ranked first in career interception percentage at just 1.3%. He's the highest active player in touchdown pass percentage at 7%. He's fourth all time already. First on active. I could go on and on. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what else to say. I'm surprised that you're able to sit there and tell me that he is not head and shoulders above not only just every other quarterback in the league right now, but every other quarterback that we've ever seen. He's head and shoulders.
I got to tell you though, I watched the Sunday night football game, and one of the best statistics I saw, I don't know if you watched the game or not, they made a graphic out of it. Fastest quarterbacks to wait, I have it here on my phone. I want to make sure I say it right. I want to make sure I say it right because I actually saved it for you. I was going to send it over to you.
Oh,
fewest passes to 50,000 yards. The fewest passes to hit 50,000 yards. Number 2, all time, Aaron Rodgers. 6,436 passes to hit 50,000 yards. Number 2. Can you guess who number 1 is?
This will be the fastest player to hit 5,000 or 50,000.
50,000 yards with the fewest attempts.
Fewest attempts.
Nothing to do with years.
Right.
Fewest attempts.
Is it an active player?
It's an active player. An active player. Number 2 was
Aaron Rodgers.
And number two was Aaron Rodgers. And again, just so the people at home were listening, fewest passes to hit 50,000 yards. Number 2 all time is Aaron Rodgers. Number 1 is, I'll give you 10 seconds to answer.
Give me Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers is an excellent guess. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers is an excellent guess. It is the wrong guess, though. But you hit the right draft class.
It's got to be Drew Brees then.
Drew Brees was not in that draft class. That draft class was Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, wow.
Ben Roethlisberger.
I should have known. I actually should have known.
You know what? Every once in a while, I got to throw one in there. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's right. Michael's a Ravens fan. He's coming on a show later. I gotta throw that one out there, Adam.
That's impressive. That's impressive. I mean, Big Ben, future Hall of Famer, first ballot, no doubt. But he's no Patrick Mahomes. And, before we get off the topic of Patrick Mahomes, because like I said,
sure.
I could literally go on and on for the rest of your show. I'm not going to do that, but I will say,
are you going to?
I'm about to for at least a little bit more. That Patrick Mahomes, not only is he amazing in his own right, he's also able to produce the top 2 pass catchers in the NFL today, as Tyreek Hill leads the league in receiving yards at 1,021. Travis Kelce is second in the NFL at 978 receiving yards. Tyreek Hill leads the league with 13 receiving touchdowns. Travis Kelce paces all tight ends with 7 receiving touchdowns. I mean, like I said, there's really not that much more to say. Patrick Mahomes, at his age, is on pace to be the greatest quarterback, the greatest football player that there's ever been.
So just really quick, and I know you got to go. I know you got a busy day and you're getting ready for this podcast on Thursday, which we are going to talk about before we wrap up. But just really quick. So it's 100% Patrick Mahomes. It's not the talent around him.
No, of course not. I mean, that's not. No, I'm saying that is. It's not. Of course, it's not just Patrick Mahomes. He has incredible talent around him, but so does almost every NFL roster. Okay, sure, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Those are a great 1-2 punch. But let's look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deontay Johnson, Juju, Chase Claypool. Okay, let's look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk. I mean,
okay, so hang on. So we just talked about all those wide receivers. In your opinion, are any of them better than Tyreek Hill?
I would say we didn't talk about Devontae Adams is better than Tyreek Hill. Keenan Allen's probably better than Tyreek Hill. Michael Thomas. I mean, these guys are, Tyreek Hill obviously is a top probably 5 wide receiver, but Tyreek Hill would not be what he is without Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Tyreek Hill is like a rich man's Marquise Brown, or you could say Marquise Brown is a poor man's Tyreek Hill.
But Patrick Mahomes would be Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill.
100%. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Interesting perspective. Before you wrap up, let's talk about your podcast. Now you got a brand new podcast coming out Thursday morning.
Yep.
It'll be live on our on our Facebook and our YouTube, and it'll also be recorded so people can download it. What's the name of the podcast?
It's called Fantasy Fallout, and we'll be covering, my weekly rankings for Week 13 coming up as season-long fantasy playoffs are about to start. This is in standard leagues or any respectable league. This is Week 13 is the final regular season of fantasy as we move into the first round of the playoffs starting Week 14. So plenty to cover there, plenty to go over. I'll be taking start and sit questions. Like I said, I'll be going over my rankings, the best positional matchups as far as wide receiver and cornerbacks go. Just a lot to cover. And there's plenty of great information, like I said, on our website, whatsonsports.com. You can check out all of our excellent articles there that go beyond just the fantasy aspect. But for anyone who's trying to make some money, like you did this weekend, John, wants to go over some daily fantasy sports, DFS picks, that's what I do. It's a profit or price to profit algorithm. Worked out for you 2 weeks in a row. I don't know how you can stop. You said you're addicted now. That's what happens. Sorry.
Yeah. I hate to use the word addicted, but I mean I'm pretty gosh darn close after the first 2 weeks, and I'm not addicted to the. It's weird. I'm not addicted to the money. I'm just addicted to the excitement of so much going on. Like, oh geez, what's going on in this game? What's going on in this game? What's going on in this game? I had so much to root for that wasn't even just my team, which is what I normally root for, So
I mean, that's the beauty of fantasy sports, especially in football, in the NFL. That's why the NFL really has a leg up on sports like the NBA and Major League Baseball and even hockey. Not just the sport itself, being so physical and violent and so attractive. I mean, it's a beautiful sport. But just the fact that everyday people like you and me can sit at home and follow along on our phones. I mean, it's that easy. To have teams that we build and we feel like, we have some sort of influence or some sort of insider knowledge, like, oh, this guy is so good. He's going to put up points. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. And it's really difficult for other sports to capture that. I think the NBA is the next best at that. And, you talked about the future of fantasy sports as we move away from football season. Of course, my podcast, the Fantasy Fallout, will cover daily NBA fantasy rankings, and just as far as season long goes with that. Of course, baseball, we'll cover it all, but it's really difficult for those sports to compete with the NFL, obviously.
Awesome. His name is Michael Schussler. He's the editor-in-chief over at What's on Sports. By the way, guys, all the articles he was telling you about, they're all free. You can go over and read them. You can check them out. Great information. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. I cannot wait to hear your show on Thursday morning. And I can't wait to actually, get invited on so I can take up some of your valuable airtime talking about things.
I'll have to check the schedule, see if I can fit you in there. But thanks for having me, John.